And let's start by telling you that the Nigerian Bar Association has relocated its 2025 annual general conference from Port Harcourt to Enugu following President Bola Tinubu's recent declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State. The association stated that although the initial announcement of Port Harcourt as the host city for this year's conference was met with enthusiasm, the appointment of a sole administrator, a retired military officer, reportedly employing a command-style approach, means the city can no longer be considered a viable host. This was disclosed in a statement jointly signed by NBA President Afam Osigwe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, General Secretary Mobolaji Ojibara, and AGCPC Chairman Emeka Obegulu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria as well. Now, the NBA said that its National Executive Council reaffirmed that the state of emergency declared in Rivers State violates Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution. It noted that although the sole administrator appears in civilian attire, his governing style is military in nature and undermines democratic principles. And joining us now virtually is Barrister Evans Ofeli, a lawyer and public affairs commentator, to give us a bit of more insight into the issue. Barrister, many thanks for joining us. A relocation.
Thank you.
You are a member of the Nigerian Bar Association. Are you happy with the decision of your organization has taken? The NBA, does it speak for you in this relocation?
Very well. I'm very, very happy with the decision of the NBA. Every year we gather in every city of choice to discuss issues of law as it affects the Nigerian states. And for this year, Rivers State was chosen, Port Harcourt as a location to be specific. That decision had been reached before the state of emergency was declared by the president, wherein he deposed an elected governor. So, but you know, in the nature of the NBA conference, it is the governor of the state that receives lawyers from all over the federation and declare the event open. That is the tradition of the NBA in our NBA conference. In the case under reference, by the state of emergency declared by the president and the subsequent appointment of a sole administrator, the said ground and the land for the conference is hereby desecrated because he is appointed under an unknown law. And he can also pretend over lawyers are ministers in the temple of justice. We cannot carry out that function in a land that is desecrated by undemocratic misadventures. That is why every sane and well-meaning lawyer in the country is happy that the venue for this year's conference, you know, has been changed to Enugu as against Rivers State.
All right, but could it
and that sits very well with me.
Right. I mean, could it be argued that this won't amount to a punch that bruises the government's policy direction about Rivers State? Why didn't the NBA take the federal government to court as the PDP governors have done, for example? Why do you think relocating may not do anything?
Well, why that is being considered by lawyers alike, the immediate action, I mean, the action readily available to the NBA by virtue of protests, okay, to purge itself of its earlier decision, is to first take this to a different venue. If the NBA is going to go to court to ask for the court to make a declaration on Section 305 of the Constitution, then the NBA can do that in the days to come if we all agree to the effect that it's necessary to do so. But I know that some PDP governors are already in court. So even if anyone is going to court again, they will have to consolidate with the people already in court. So the matter is not unchallenged. I mean, people are challenging it. Okay? So, but the immediate action, the one that readily affects the NBA, is that we cannot hold that conference in Rivers State any longer. Because he cannot come and declare the event open and he cannot welcome the NBA. You cannot use illegality to activate an NBA conference that is held sacred. It will not go well.
Right.
Because in this conference, you're inviting international speakers from all over the world, and you're also inviting judges from all over the globe. So they are not going to come to and sit under such kind of condition. Well, it's not proper.
Looking at all the issues concerning the emergency rule, I mean, for example, there was a story about security operatives taking a certain activist in Port Harcourt into custody, or perhaps they just invited him, in quotation. Where do you see this whole emergency rule going from here? Do you see the 6-month period going to come to an end? Do you see this going to be extended? Will democracy be restored in its entirety?
We don't know what the president has in mind. We don't know what he intends to do with this illegality. How long it's going to take, we don't know. The law says 6 months, but that is assuming but not considering what the proper declaration. This particular declaration is lacking in principles and law. It's lacking in everything known to law. So no one knows, because what you are practicing in Rivers State today is no longer the Constitution. It's the law of the president. Anything he says is now law, because Nigeria has descended into a state of lawlessness. So anything that Nigeria is now an anarchy, is a monarchy rather. It's not a monarchy. So the president can come out anytime he likes that to remove any governor he wants to remove, and then we'll carry on like that. So it's a very painful situation. Well, and I think that this action must, as a matter of necessity, be challenged immediately.
Well, I mean, the thing is, one of the questions that's burning to be asked at this point is, whether this leaves precedents and what kind of precedents it leaves, whether for this administration come 2027, if they're voted in, or another administration in its entirety. But I wish there was enough time for us to go into details. But Evan Tufele, I must say thank you for joining us. Evan Tufele is a legal practitioner, a barrister, and of course a public affairs analyst, giving us a bit of insight following the relocation of the annual general meetings for the NBA. Let's move away from that now to security matters, as Nigeria's Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun has assured that those behind what he described as census killings in Boko's local government area of Plateau State will face justice. The IGP, speaking through the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Operations, Ziggy Kwazu, when he paid an official visit to Boko's, insists that everything possible will be done to ensure the state is free of such violent attacks. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe completes the report.
Pain, agony, heartbreak, and hopelessness still describe the mood of victims of the 2nd April violent attacks on some communities in Boko's local government area of Plateau State. Synergy between the different security agencies has also been seen in their visits to the victims and affected communities. At a stakeholders' engagement with the locals, who still wear a mourning look, Nigeria's police chief Olukayode Egbetokun assures justice in the tragic incident.
I am therefore here on behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the entire leadership of the force to not only commiserate with you, the grieving families and the affected communities, but to also bring to you the assurance of the Inspector General of Police that justice for these people that have been killed will not be denied.
IGP Egbetokun says measures have been put in place to forestall a reoccurrence.
The measures has already been put in place. A unit of mobile policemen has already arrived Bokos as directed by the Inspector General of Police. A platoon of the Special Intervention Squad has also arrived
Bokos with the equipments combat ready to go after these bandits.
For these victims left to mourn their loved ones, here are their cries.
As I'm speaking to you now, I don't even know the whereabouts of my family up to now. I don't know where they are. Sometimes, you can see the criminal is walking around. Had it been government is taking a decisive action on this one, I think by now, maybe the criminals would have been reduced to a minimum, number.
Duka ga muna anan mutum ba lissafi kamar dabbobi muna roƙo gwamnati ta ɗauki mataki kamar wannan.
Each and every youth make sure he will work together with his own stakeholders. When their stakeholders give them advice, they need to comply with their stakeholders.
In the words of IGP Ebetokun, let this be a turning point, a call for unity, vigilance, and collective resolve to reject violence and build future peace for the generations yet unborn. In Bokos local government area of Plateau State for News Central, Chizoba Aniui.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian police force says it has recorded major breakthroughs in Kaduna State, recovering 21 fabricated AK-47 rifles, neutralizing 3 armed robbers, and rescuing 17 kidnapped victims in a single day as part of ongoing efforts to combat armed violence and insecurity across the country. According to the force headquarters, the operations align with the Inspector General of Police's strategic directive to combat violent crimes through intelligence-led policing. On April 9th, 2025, a joint operation by the Kaduna State Anti-Kidnapping Unit and the Office of the National Security Advisor rescued 17 kidnapped victims abducted over a month ago from Serki Power, that's Niger State. Now, the force PRO, Muyiwa Dejobi, said the rescue was carried out without any exchange of gunfire, beg your pardon. Now, the police says all rescued victims are stable and receiving medical attention, while investigations continue into the trafficking network and armed gang activities.
These are young children adopted on 3rd of March 2025 and was rescued. I think that's a month plus in captivity. How will you kidnap a toddler, young person of 1 year, 2 months, or 3 months? So it's for you to know that many of them are not just out to do kidnapping for ransom, but they are out just to destabilize the system. They are out there to just paint Nigeria unsafe, and for many other reasons that we can think of. We want to appeal to Nigerians to always work with security agencies to make sure that we expose these men of the underworld. They are not spirits. Any moment from now, we're handing them over to Niger State Command so that they can proceed and take them to Mina. Of course, reconcile them with their families. Like the same prototype of what we have been showing to you anytime we display some of these exhibits. You can see how neatly.
In the meantime, the federal government, in collaboration with the Edo State government, have set up a fact-finding committee to look into the circumstances surrounding the recent killings of 16 Kano-bound travelers in Urumi, the administrative headquarters of Isan Northeast local government area. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpolo disclosed this when he received a high-powered delegation from Kano State led by the Deputy Governor of the state, Comrade Aminu Abdusalam Gwazo, at the Government House in Benin City. Okpolo said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not happy over what happened in Urumi, and he is determined to ensure the state and nation are safe for everybody to live and do business. Governor Okpolo and the delegation from Kano also visited Urumi, where they met with members of the Hausa community in the area. And you're welcome back. The former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, has expressed gratitude after receiving the Founders Sonhak Peace Prize at an official ceremony held in Seoul, South Korea. The former president made the announcement on Friday on his X page, describing the award as an honor not only to himself, but also to Nigerians and Africans committed to peace and development. He also extended congratulations to fellow award recipients and acknowledged those who made the recognition possible. The Sonhak Peace Prize was established in 2015 and is awarded to persons acknowledged as contributors to peace and human development, especially in areas of sustainable human development, conflict resolution, and ecological conservation. Prominent leaders of thought from across the country converged on Lagos on Thursday for a posthumous birthday symposium in honor of the late Afenifere leader Pa Ayo Adebanjo. Speakers paid tribute to the nationalist icon with a stern warning that Nigeria was in a worse place today than when Pa Adebanjo and his generation devoted their lives to the quest for a better Nigeria. For News Central, correspondent Israel Iferobo was there and now reports.
The atmosphere was one of deep respect and remembrance as political leaders, academics, civil society groups and traditional rulers filled the Muson Center in Lagos to pay tribute to a man whose voice once echoed through the halls of Nigeria's democratic struggle, Chief Ayo Adebanjo. Delivering his keynote address titled "The Afenifere Nigeria Needs," senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights activist Solomon Asemota said there is need for Nigeria to continue the ideology of politicians from the First Republic.
We need to continue what Adebanjo, Awolowo, Zik, all of them of the First Republic started, which was truncated by the military ignorantly.
We will bring Nigerians together. We will let the youths know their rights.
Themed Afenifere, Identity, Ideas and Ideology, the symposium explored the social-political philosophy championed by Chief Adebanjo and his dedication to Yoruba self-determination within our united Nigeria.
So today is essentially to properly introduce Afenifere to the Nigerian people, clear up whatever ambiguities that might have existed because of the effluxion of time.
When the leader has died, it means it's like a relay race that's handed over to another person. Now that we have a new leader and a new time, the meeting here allowed us to think through all the issues we want to do next.
He was a very strong man. He was a very focused man. He's the last of the titans, the Awoists of our time, who believed passionately in a great Nigeria, in a robust Nigeria, in a fair Nigeria, in an equitable Nigeria.
Speakers took turns to highlight the values Chief Adebanjo lived by: truth, integrity, and an unrelenting pursuit for justice.
Adebanjo said no to so many things openly, and he was harassed, but he kept it. As it says that the truth will set you free. Adebanjo set an example. And as somebody remarked today, we are only following his example, and others will follow my own example. I think that's the situation.
This has given us the opportunity to know Afenifere and some of the ideas they've tried to espouse today. We are in alignment with them.
As the nation continues to grapple with complex political realities, those in attendance believe the life and times of Chief Ayo Adebanjo stand as a beacon, reminding Nigerians of the power of ideology in shaping a more just society. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Ifirobo.
Still on the political reforms Nigeria needs, the managing director and editor-in-chief of News Central, Kayode Kintemi, has reiterated the importance of government at the local level as the state prepares for local government elections. Kintemi made this known while addressing party chairmen and representatives at the quarterly meeting of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPA, held in Lagos, Nigeria. Lead correspondent Bernard Akede has more.
The quarterly IPAC meeting brought together leaders of various political parties in Lagos to deliberate on key issues affecting governance at the grassroots level.
This is our general meeting of all party chairmen, just basically to deliberate on governance and how to better improve the quality of the administration of political parties, together with the regulatory bodies INEC and LISEC. And we do this every quarter. This is our second quarter.
With the local government elections drawing closer, several concerns took center stage. The presence of a representative from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, helped shed light on lingering grey areas and provided much needed clarity.
I wanted them to synergize properly, have decorum, ensure that there is inclusivity, that is, in terms of membership. They should carry a lot of members of their parties along in decision making, particularly when it has to do with the major exercises like congresses and primaries.
However, a major highlight of the meeting was the address by News Central's Managing Director, Kayode Akintemi, who emphasized the importance of robust engagement between media and political actors, particularly at the grassroots level. He seized the opportunity to formally invite the party leaders to News Central's upcoming Chairman's Dialogue, a platform designed to foster deeper conversations on governance, leadership, and the role of local governments in national development.
A special platform created exclusively for political party leaders and key stakeholders in Lagos. Our intention is to replicate this in other states of the country and possibly at the federal level. We also look ahead to what the next cycle of elections may bring, the role each of your parties will play in shaping that future. It is your conversation. It's an opportunity for you to engage and share your ideas and thoughts with all Nigerians so that they get to see what you're going through in Lagos. What are the problems? What are the challenges? What are the issues that Nigerians need to know? And when they know, you also table what are the solutions.
As the meeting wrapped up, there was renewed optimism around the upcoming elections and anticipation for the Chairman's Dialogue.
I want to believe we are going to have free and fair election, and we've said it to them that we don't want to have our collation centers at the local government, and I know they're working very serious about it. So I want to believe we are going to have a very good election.
The dialogue is scheduled to hold on Thursday, April 17th, and will be broadcast live on News Central. In Lagos for News Central, Bernard Akede.
Delta State government is paving way for private investment into power generation exclusively handled by the federal government in order to curb the unreliable power supply across the state. The new legislation provides a legal framework for the state to independently regulate and attract private investment into power generation, transmission, and distribution. The Delta State Electricity Power Sector Bill 2024 is among the 7 bills that Governor Sheriff Oboriwori signed into law at the Government House, Asaba, Delta State capital. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu reports that the governor also signed into law the Child Rights Amendment Law 2024, which clearly provides more safeguards for children.
I believe that with this bill that we have accepted today, I know that this will improve our power sector because it is very key. You can't do any investment without power. So power is very, 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 very key. And I will tell you today that we have the population and now the legal framework for investment to thrive. These bills that we have just accepted to will protect our vulnerable populations, improve quality of life, promote sustainable development and environmental protection, attract investment, and increase our IGR
The Nigerian government is intensifying its efforts to attract foreign investment into the West African nation with a fresh pitch to French investors in Paris. Speaking at the Nigeria Business Forum, Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, outlined what he described as sweeping reforms under President Tinubu's administration aimed at creating a transparent, competitive and investor-friendly economy. The forum, which was attended by over 200 French companies, provided a platform for the minister to reassure international partners of Nigeria's economic turnaround, which he says is driven by the current administration's renewed hope agenda.
In recent years, trade relations have also diversified into renewable energy, technology, agro-industries, demonstrating, of course, a growing focus on the relationship that exists between the two countries. Now, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria is asserting itself as a pro-business environment, having set forth bold and unwavering economic reforms under what is called the Renewed Hope Agenda. Nigeria has embarked on historic economic reforms aimed at creating a more competitive and transparent, stable economic environment. This includes, among others, unifying and stabilizing the foreign exchange regime, which all of you are all aware of, phasing out the fuel subsidies regime that block leakages and guarantee greater revenues for our development. We are, of course, keen to see French companies seize the moment to look towards Nigeria and for Nigerian companies to look towards France with greater enthusiasm to invest on both sides.
The news continues in South Africa, where civil organizations are raising serious concerns about the effectiveness of the country's justice system following the controversial acquittal of Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotosho. Omotosho walked free just weeks ago after being acquitted of all charges, including serious allegations of rape and human trafficking. His release has sparked outrage nationwide, leading to calls for accountability and reform within the justice system. News Central's Bongani Ziziba has more.
Other girls, like other boys, who are currently still being abused in the church, have the voice to come out and speak. Definitely not. Because why? Omotoso spent 8 years in jail. And 8 years later, he was found not guilty, he was acquitted. So what does that say to us, victims who were abused within the church? It shows us that justice in our country is a thing that is just spoken and written and signed upon as a model law, but nothing is being instituted to make sure that we are psychologically, mentally protected holistically. So the question is, am I next?
A conversation that has sparked outrage in South Africa, and the victims speaks out. This time around, they don't want to be silenced. Just a week ago, a Nigerian pastor, Timothy Omotoso, walked free, acquitted of all charges, including serious allegations of rape and trafficking. His release is raising grave concerns about the effectiveness of the justice system. Civil organizations, alongside the Commission for Gender Equality, are now urgently calling for a comprehensive inquiry into this case.
We're not convinced that justice was done in this matter. It is therefore imperative that we independently interrogate the gaps highlighted in the judgment and then recommend measures that must be introduced to ensure these do not similarly recur.
The question is, how safe are religious spaces where many young women have fallen victims to the so-called men of God? Another question is, are the victims of gender-based violence safe? Why are they not being adequately protected? There are also concerns about the police's ability to analyze evidence and understand the complexities of the cases they handle. This could jeopardize the safety and justice of countless victims.
Are our police officers able to analyze documentary evidence? Does a flight ticket sent to a young girl in the Eastern Cape to come over to Mhlanga to join the church, is it meaningful to them? Do they understand the magnitude and weight of that as documentary evidence that can assist them in their case and in their investigation?
This pressing issue unfolds when women judges, together with other legal minds from across the globe, are gathered in Cape Town. Their mission to address gender-based violence and formulate strategies that will empower women and protect their rights under the law. As discussions continue and actions are taken, the question remains, will South Africa rise to protect its women and ensure justice prevails? In Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
And off to Central Africa, with just 2 days to go until Gabon's presidential election, General Brice Oligui Nguema, the transitional leader and military chief, held his final rally in Libreville. Now, Oligui, the favorite to become the first elected leader since the 2023 coup, has promised a historic victory against 7 challengers, including the former prime minister. Now, Oligui, who is seeking a 7-year term, has worked to distance himself from his military background by engaging with younger voters through social media trends. Now, election results are expected to be announced by April 16th.
La démocratie ne sera plus une promesse lointaine, une réalité vivante. Dans la 5e République, la décentralisation, la libre administration des collectivités locales sera effective. Dans la 5e République, la gouvernance sera efficiente et la corruption n'aura plus sa place.
And off to East Africa, where the leader of Tanzania's opposition, Chadema party, that's Tundu Lissu, remains under questioning after his arrest for inciting violence and opposing the upcoming general election. He faces charges related to his campaign for electoral reform under the slogan, hashtag, which is no reforms, no election. Lissu argues that the country's electoral commission, appointed by President Samia Suluhu Hassan, must be reformed for a fair election. Tanzania is set to hold elections in October, where Lissu plans to challenge the president of the country. The opposition leader, who survived an assassination attempt in 2017, has been arrested multiple times for his activism, and his treason case is set for April 24th.
Katika mtaa wa soko kuu wilaya ya Mbinga, jeshi la polisi lilimkamata mwenyekiti huyo wa Chadema kufuatia tuhuma zilizokuwa zinapelelezwa za kufanya uchochezi wa kutofanyika kwa uchaguzi mkuu wa 2025. Mtuhumiwa huyo anahojiwa na jeshi la polisi juu ya tuhuma hizo huko Dar es Salaam. Jeshi la polisi linatoa onyo kwa vyama vyote vya siasa kutotoa maneno ya uchochezi, kutotoa lugha ya kukashifu polisi au serikali, au kuonyesha viashiria vyovyote vya uvunjifu wa amani katika kipindi hiki cha kuelekea uchaguzi mkuu wa 20.
And now turning to South Asia, where the Indian Army is turning to technology in the wake of a powerful earthquake that rocked Myanmar. Robotic MUUs have been deployed across quick hit areas to help assess structural damage. Now, these high-tech machines are part of a broader effort to evaluate the scale of destruction caused by the 7.7 magnitude earthquake that struck on March 28th. India was one of the first nations to respond, sending in aid and specialized rescue teams to assist its war-torn neighbor. Now, robotic support is helping navigate treacherous terrain and unstable buildings, giving rescuers crucial insight without putting lives at risk. The use of robotic mules marks a significant step in disaster response, blending humanitarian aid with cutting-edge innovation. You're welcome back. The financial technology and fintech sector in Africa is witnessing extraordinary growth, reshaping the continent's economic landscape and creating unparalleled opportunities for financial inclusion. With a youthful, tech-savvy population and an increasing demand for accessible financial services, Africa has emerged as a hub for fintech innovation. However, this immense potential is accompanied by significant challenges that need to be addressed for sustainable growth. On Business Edge, Olawale Bamidele, a digital tech innovator and founder of UX Thrive, discussed the mobile money market, highlighting its positive impact on financial services in Africa and the factors contributing to its success compared to traditional banks.
We understand that we are in the age where people want to do things faster. We are the age where we want to do it faster. I don't want to call it, we like the fast things, but as a matter of truth, it has what has come to stay, as what has come to happen. What are the edge that we have? First of all, documentation. We know the stages or the process of getting to even open a banking account back in the days with traditional bank. All those lapses are already gone. We know when it comes to making payments, all those lapses are already gone. We know when it comes to documentation, when it comes to user-centric, when it comes to the experience of consumer with all this, with traditional banks, all those lapses are gone. So what are we experiencing now with fintech? That's edge over traditional banks. Documentation is part of it. The process is part of it. The easy access is part of it. And generally, the user experience is actually one of the fastest things. And in terms of even growing business, we know what this fintech has done much more better as the traditional banking.
The rising trade tensions between the United States and China presents a serious risk to bilateral trade, with projections indicating to possible decline of up to 80% in merchandise trade. Dr. Ngozi Okoje-Iweala, the Director General of the World Trade Center, raised these concerns, noting that the U.S. and China, as the two largest economies, represent about 30% of global trade. Now, with a 90-day negotiation period now in place, it is essential to engage in discussions to prevent a potential global economic crisis. On Business Edge, Professor Andre Rowe from the University of Stellenbosch Business School provided insights into the potential ripple effects on emerging economies and low-income countries, particularly in Africa, and discussed what coordinated global responses would be necessary to tackle this urgent economic challenge. Take a look.
It does depend, of course, on the extent of each country's trade with America. We'll look at the direct impact. We know that many countries in Africa do now look, in any case, towards China as a bigger trade partner, so it will somehow, to some extent, soften the blow. But really, even though there might not be a direct impact, as I said earlier, the indirect impact on all economies will be profound, and developing economies, LDCs, will probably feel the pain more than many others. And unfortunately, that includes many countries in Africa. Obviously, each nation would like to sort of reinforce its own autonomy and own independence, but America being so big, clearly Trump is using this as a tool, as a lever, to try to change countries' economic and even political behavior. So it's going to be a matter of to what extent are we willing to sacrifice our almost our own principles.
And finally, in sports, Rivers Hoopers have secured their place in the 2025 Basketball Africa League playoffs with a 79-71 points victory over host Force Rabat. The Nigerian champions, now 3-1 in the Kalahari Conference, overcame a three-quarter deficit to dominate the final stretch. Madut Akat, who led with 17 points and 8 rebounds, while Kevin Amayo impressed with 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. Peter Olisa Emeka posted a double-double, scoring 13 points and grabbing 12 rebounds. Now, Rivers Hoopers are now set to join the continent's elite in South Africa for the main phase of the Basketball Africa League, marking a major achievement for Nigerian basketball. And off to the Premier League, where Mohamed Salah has signed a new 2-year contract with Liverpool, ending speculation about a summer departure. The Egyptian forward, whose previous deal was set to expire, was linked with a move to Saudi Arabia amid uncertain comments during the season. The 32-year-old has scored 243 goals and provided 109 assists in 393 games since joining from Roma in 2017. He cited Liverpool's trophy potential at the club as the key reasons for extending his stay. Now, this season, he has netted 32 goals, including 27 in the Premier League, as Liverpool chase a 20th league title. Salah's extension follows ongoing talks with fellow stars Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who are also nearing contract expiration. CONMEBOL President Alejandro Dominguez has called on FIFA to expand the 2030 World Cup to 64 teams as a one-time gesture to celebrate the tournament's 100th anniversary. Now, the proposal made during CONMEBOL's 80th conference aims to broaden global participation and increase South American involvement. Now, the 2030 World Cup is already set to span 6 nations across 3 continents, with the majority of matches in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, and opening games in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. The 64-team format would result in 128 matches, doubling the total from 2022's edition. UEFA's president has criticized the idea, calling it a, quote, bad idea for both the tournament and European qualifiers alike. We'll see how that plays out, but that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The Nigerian Bar Association has abandoned Port Harcourt as venue for its 2025 annual conference, citing the illegality of Governor Fubara's suspension and declaration of emergency rule by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Federal and Edo state governments have set up a fact-finding committee over the Uromi killings. And we also told you that the opposition leader in Tanzania is facing treason charges over reform campaign. As always, remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. We're now on GoTV channel 23. Find us on Star Times as well, channel 274. We're also on Apple TV, or better yet, just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, the TV. Bye for now.